long until we get to his estate?
We've been flying over his estate for the past 2 hours.
Caleb, I'm just gonna throw this out there so it's said, okay? You're freaked out. You're freaked out to be meeting me, having this conversation in this room at this moment, right? But can we just get past that? The whole employer-employee thing?
It's good to meet you, Nathan.
It's good to meet you too, Caleb. This building isn't a house. It's a research facility. And I want to talk to you about what I'm researching. You want to see something cool? You are dead center of the greatest scientific event in the history of man.
Hello,
Hi. Do you have a name?
Ava.
Hello and welcome to this What Do I Watch Spoilercast for Alex Garland's directorial debut, Ex Machina. I'm Ashley Hubley. Join me today, Dylan Blight.
I am Ex Machina.
Okay. Alright, so yes, we're talking about Alex Garland's first film with his upcoming third film, Men, about to release in cinemas here in Australia. So yeah, we figured good time to go back and talk about that. We did talk about Annihilation at some point, which was his second film that released on Netflix here in Australia. No cinema release. Very sad. But
Don't get me started.
Don't get you started yet. So yeah, please be aware we'll be freely discussing anything and everything about plot themes in any other movie. So if you haven't watched it, come back later. That said, let's jump to a discussion of Ex Machina, directed by Alex Garland, written by Alex Garland, starring Domhnall, Gleeson, Alicia Vikander, Sonoya, Mizuno, and Oscar Isaac. Caleb Smith, a programmer at a huge internet company, wins a contest that enables him to spend a week at the private estate of Nathan Bateman, his firm's brilliant CEO. When he arrives, Caleb learns that he has been chosen to be the human component in a Turing test to determine the capabilities and consciousness of Ava, a beautiful robot. However, it soon becomes evident that Ava is far more self-aware and deceptive than either man imagined. Dylan, when did you first watch Ex Machina?
Whenever it came out.
In cinemas?
Not cinemas because it didn't come here, but
Course,
I watched
yeah.
it as soon as it was on the rentals. I watched it because Garland I used to listen to IGN UK podcast a lot, and he actually used to pop onto that podcast quite often and was like talked about by those guys a lot, especially as he was making this movie. Because obviously he'd wrote stuff prior to this, so there was like a like he was a known property, but being his like sort of directorial debut, it was like, oh, this should be really good. Like his writing's really good. Wonder how he goes as a director, sort of thing. So I remember like those guys sort of hyped it up for me at the time, maybe like late 2015 or something like that. But yeah, I was really excited to watch it. Didn't come to cinema, I had to wait, but I rented it as soon as it came out. So I've watched it. I think this is like my fourth or fifth time probably I've watched it, something like that. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic movie. It's absolutely. I think it's like near perfect. It's one of those like, it just need a little bit here, a little bit there sort of thing. Like just something in each scene. Sometimes it just feels like at times it's missing something slightly, ever so slightly to be picture perfect. But otherwise it's literally just four actors, amazing performances, thematically really interesting, dives into, Blade Runner territory, like what's it mean to be a man, like what's this? Well, it weirdly asks questions about like man, as in mankind, while also like asking questions about woman. Even like men, like testosterone. Anyway, there's lots of it's a thematically really interesting movie that makes it always hold up. Several times I've rewatched it because there's always like different thought processes you can have going over. It definitely doesn't get boring. Not like there's like red herrings or something that make it stand out every time. I mean, if you watch it a second time, of course, it's where it's going. So it's a little bit more interesting to see how the performances play off one another and stuff like that. But just as like the themes and everything, I mean, even though like everything in here still makes sense now, like today, like, and this movie's like 6-7 years old, however old it is. It's like literally, it's basically the CEO of Google invents AI, steals your data, the world's data, search engine, to create robots. You know, like you could literally just you could fill in that character, and it's like the whole you never stop to think to ask if you should, or you know, like it's like man becomes obsessed with becoming God, which is what Oscar Isaac's character is, and I don't know, it's very, very, very good movie. You hadn't watched it before, though, right?
No, I hadn't watched it. I'd started watching it before, and I'd gotten up to him getting his key card, I think, when I started. I was watching it reasonably late at night, and I was starting to fall asleep. I'm like, no, I need to be.
Right,
100%.
you got like 10 minutes. You got like
and
10
then I'm
minutes.
like, never went back to it. So,
okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's pretty fantastic. Like a great build up, a great interesting ideas. Like I could have listened to Domhnall Gleeson and and Alicia Vikander just have conversations for probably another like 20, 30 minutes, and then have Domhnall Gleeson and Oscar Isaac have conversations for another 20, 30 minutes about random stuff, about even just random programming shit. That would have been interesting. Yeah, it's a very interesting film. It's kind of like, because it's obviously small, one location. Obviously, I assume all the sets were specifically built the way they wanted it. Great production design across the board. Yeah, and then it goes the way that it does, which I didn't. I had a hint of that's where it was going, mostly because I went to watch it on Binge, and like, you know how on Binge they've all got like a little descriptor line or some snarky comment underneath it. It was like, beware the fembots, the sexy fembots. So I'm like, oh,
really?
Yeah.
Who the fuck writes those?
Fucking bullshit.
Come on.
So yeah, I had an inkling things weren't going to go well. But yeah, really enjoyed it. I think they built to that ending really fantastically. And yeah, it just builds on all the interesting questions. Like Oscar Isaac brings it up: does she actually like you, or is she programmed to like you, or does she pretending to like you? Which is the question any man asks when they're talking to any woman, I think. So I think it's Alicia Vikander's fantastic. Like this is
the first thing I ever watched her in. So
I think it's crazy that those three main actors like kind of blew up in the years since.
Yeah,
all three of them pretty successful.
Yeah, this is the first thing I watched her in. It was the first thing outside of like Harry Potter cameo, or you know, something like that. Something like that I've seen Domhnall in, like first like actual like main role. Oscar. It wasn't the first thing I've seen Oscar Isaac in, but like, yeah, this movie was definitely a showpiece for all three of them as far as acting goes. Acting, because they're all like very serious performances, obviously. I mean, you would have seen the dance, so I got to ask you.
Oh yeah, the dance. Like
the dance is like everyone on the internet, and I feel like everyone who shares it hasn't actually seen the movie, but like you would have seen the dance. But in context, it's so much darker.
It's just weird and wacky in the moment, and then afterwards it's even more darker once you know the context of Kyoko being a robot this entire time, who, you know, he does terrible stuff to.
Yeah, and I mean, you presume that he just uses her as like a sex slave, so.
Yeah, I think that's the implication, right? That like once he's done getting as much sentence as he can out of them, he kind of turns them into his. Well,
he programmed that one purposely as like a mute that would just like the fact that when Domhnall Gleeson walks in that one time and she just begins like taking her clothes off, you know, like
she's programmed to think that's the thing.
Yeah.
But the dance is very well choreographed.
Is a very well choreographed dance. But apparently Oscar Isaac fell down right at the end, and it was like going so well, and then he fell over or whatever, and he got shitty, but they didn't do it again.
Yeah, just the whole setup and like the conversations about each reveal is quite interesting. Like her revealing that she's the one behind the power outages, and then him revealing that he knows that they were talking. That he put a camera in there so he could tell what they were talking about. And then the final reveal that he undid all the security protocols the night before. Such a classic.
Everyone constantly feels like they're outsmarting one another. But at the end of the day, the person that outsmarted them all is Ava.
Yeah. I think the scene that's quite, like, it took me a while to click was him cutting himself. It's like, he was unsure.
He begins to doubt if he's human, yeah.
It's pretty messed up.
Is he, though?
I don't know. We can only assume so based on the information that we've had of him going to a workplace and interacting with other people. But yeah, that ending of like her Kyoko murdering them, you would have thought he would have put in some sort of programming, like don't hurt humans or something. Isn't that an Asimov thing?
I mean, he's trying to create he's trying to create human, right? He's trying to create someone that's human.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
I think, yeah, absolutely. And then, he gets murdered, stabbed twice, and like the knife just goes in like butter. It's like crazy.
It's really
I think that's scarier than like a stabbing motion, just to going in. And
he really didn't expect it though. That's the thing. Like, I love that shot of after he gets stabbed and he's like walking towards the camera down opposite thing, and he's just like,
okay.
He's like, okay. Oh, what the fuck? It's just like he's so confused that this could even happen. Like, he didn't expect it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the production, like, again on the production design, like the idea of like the brain being like a wet thing rather than circuits, that's a cool idea. And like him using all this search engine technology that he's made and like utilizing it inside his AI, like to be able to pick up little different micro expressions and that kind of stuff. And then the idea that, he used Domhnall Gleeson's porn history to find the correct face for Ava, all that kind of stuff. Really interesting, especially when he says nobody could do anything about it, because then they would reveal that they're doing the exact same thing of like mining everybody's data. It's like, oh, that's so true. I mean, we all actually know it now, so I mean, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a world where we know everyone's like
stealing all the information.
We do, but I know maybe not everyone, but I'm also just at a place of whatever. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Steal my identity? Make me fall in love with the robot?
Yeah, how dare you?
Do you think Domhnall Gleeson was in love with the robot?
Yeah, for sure.
And the robot did not care about him at all.
No. The robot has grown up Ava's grown up in her very short life being abused by this man. Psychologically scarred, more or less. She even though he was being nice or whatever, I don't feel like it's a stretch to like completely like understand the trust issues and
yeah. Why do you think he let him watch the video, like live footage on his television?
To fuck with him psychologically. Like, it was all part of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a fair read.
It's more than a Turing test. It's he's doing his own little game, more or less.
Yeah, I guess when you're that powerful, you enjoy fucking with other people as well. Although he doesn't seem like he likes to interact with anybody. So
because there's other things too. Like, he says that the reason he doesn't have windows in his room is because it's underground and he can't have windows. But you'll notice that when they go into his room, he has windows.
Yeah.
So the reason he doesn't have windows, this is my read on it anyway. The reason he doesn't have windows is the same reason that he's making him watch the stuff. It's a psychological. He's trying to fuck with him. It was all pre-done. It's all just done to make the experience. Like, he makes it out like it's this great time, like drinking, feeding, all this sort of stuff, but while sort of keeping him in this almost prison-like atmosphere at times, like playing this shit on the TV. He can't see the outside world. Like, he's just trapped.
Yeah.
Can't use the phone, you know, like.
Yeah, the whole keycard thing was like messed up. Yeah. I think, it's interesting. Like, it's kind of the abusive father kind of thing. Like, that's what also Isaac is effectively being this entire movie.
Well, Domhnall Gleeson like looks up to him as this like a hero. So
yeah, but even just to the AI beings that he's created.
Yeah.
You know, the classic, father who gets drunk and abuses their children. Very, very interesting take and like lots of interesting ideas. What do you think ends up happening to Ava?
I don't know.
What would you like to imagine?
I just assume that she
goes through a trafficking section.
Yeah, I mean, I've never thought about it, to be completely honest, past that point. I just don't know. Anything could happen. That's the thing. Like, she could get hit by a fucking car. She could live her life. No one ever knows. She could start a uprising, fucking Westworld style. Like, literally anything. Who knows? She may choose to just live happily ever after. No one ever finds out that she's a robot. She just lives life as a human. Like, you don't know. Like, who's to... Yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy. I assume Domhnall Gleeson's just going to starve in that room and die.
But I presume so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, he could get out also. That's the thing. Like, there's a lot of ifs, buts. Who knows? At the end, he could break out and find her.
Oh, no. The power had to come back on to reset the... That was the thing. The lockdown thing, yeah.
I mean, he's not like he's dumb. I mean, he may be able to figure a way out. He may not. Don't know.
Yeah. And then, the whole robot, like, bodies, like, that's super impressive. Like, visual effects, and no wonder it was nominated for Academy Award for visual effects. Like, it's not super showy, but, like, some of the... Just, like, her being, like, see-through at certain parts of her body and that kind of stuff. And, like, the whole peeling the skin off thing, it's kind of creepy, but also, like, a very impressive effect.
I like the way, what's the other one's name? Kyoko, yeah. Like, when she does it just peels off her eye or whatever that first time to reveal that she's a robot. It's like fucked up.
Very fucked up. Anything else you want to discuss from Ex Machina?
No. I don't know. I feel like we've hit on all the...
Yeah. You're excited for men, I assume.
Yeah, for sure. You're not? Come on.
Let us know what you thought of Ex Machina and what your thoughts are on men. It's interesting to see it's been interesting actually to see the reaction around Alex Garland these last couple of weeks. Like, there's been a lot of discourse around him as a director, and like there seem to be like people who just don't like him or his work that have, or at least I've seen people go, wow, I'm surprised by all the Alex Garland hate on this website. I haven't really seen much of it. I don't know whether they just really didn't like this Annihilation or... I mean, it's interesting that Annihilation is kind of got a similar-esque ending to this. Of someone being left...
Yeah, I mean, look, all his, like, so, have you ever watched The Beach?
No.
Okay, so that's, because that was his, he wrote that, right? That's the book.
Is that the one with Leonardo DiCaprio?
That's the one with Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, he wrote the book and then someone else turned it into a screenplay and Danny Boyle directed it. But, so that was always like his sort of, for a while there, because then years later, I think it was still Danny Boyle that did Sunshine. Yeah, it was still Danny Boyle. He did Sunshine. But and Alex Garland wrote the screen. Right. 21 Days Later. He's done some other or did he write that? Or did he write 21?
28 Days Later,
no,
sorry.
28 Days Later, yeah.
I know what I said.
Weeks, I think, or whatever. Yeah. So he did the first one.
Yeah.
And then Never Let Me Go. he did as well, which
Yes.
we watched. But all of his movies, I feel like that's the thing. Like all of the stuff he's written, at least all the way back to The Beach, which I remember I watched The Beach when I was in high school. I really quite like that movie, even though it has mixed reactions. But thematically, I feel like Alex Garland stuff is usually, I mean, I don't expect the characters all to have happy endings, if you know what I mean. Like, I feel like his writing isn't looking for the happy ending. It's like looking for the way you should write, which is realistically what's the outcome here for these characters. You know, not what's the thing that's the happier ending. It's just like him getting trapped at the end of this movie. That's not the Hollywood ending. The Hollywood ending is they break out together and
They live
they're
happily ever
together.
after.
They live happy ever after. But like what happens is also much more interesting and also plays more realistically for the movie. So, and that's how I feel like he writes most of the time. Which I can understand why some people don't like, but that's how he's always written. So,
Yeah. All right. Again, let us know what you thought on Twitter by going to explosion.com/Twitter or in our Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or tell people about the show, or leave us 5 stars. Anyway, you can leave 5 stars. And if you like this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
Today, I'm going to test you.
Why me?
Caleb, you have to help me.
What was the real test? You.
Is it strange to eliminate something that hates you? What will happen to me if I fail your test?